Hello again. This is Tina Zahara, still the one, the only, maybe, hopefully. Anyways, we are going to start on the wands tonight. We did cover the aces in sort of a conceptual way and not like in the broadest sense last time, so I'm going to cover it like specifically this time. So I hope we have our notebooks out and our pens and paper and our decks of tarot cards so we can look at the cards while I'm talking about them. Okay, first of all, the Ace of Wands is, right, the big old penis. It is a very masculine energy, and masculine energies for the purposes of tarot, metaphysics, whatever. Masculine energy is projective, feminine energy is receptive. So you can figure out how to remember that. That's pretty easy. But anyways, okay, so the Ace of Wands is the card of virility, of paternity. It is sort of the point where there's a starting point to every project or situation or whatever, whether that's a brilliant idea, although generally the idea will come in as an Ace of Swords, but, you know, they play a little bit. You don't always get exactly the card that you should get, but anyways. So this could be enterprise, creation, birth, conception, inheritance. Falls under the Ace of Rods. But it's the starting point or the highest manifestation of whatever the circumstance is in question, which is a lot easier if someone's asked a question, and if they haven't asked a question, you got to dig around and find what this is the beginning of, or this is the starting point. It can also be a period of new or renewed faith, because this is very much, the rods generally are a lot about faith and about like what you believe. Facts would sort of belong more to the swords, and the beliefs belong more to the rods. So when you reverse the Ace of Rods, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to try and be a good girl. I'm not that good at that, but whatever. Okay. This could be a total loss of faith. It could be the beginning of a period in someone's life where their faith is being tested, or whether they're questioning their faith, or anything along those lines. It could be destruction, anything that gets ruined or failed. An enterprise that'll serve no good in the long run, or ideas or projects that never really come to fruition. So that's your Ace of Rods. Next up is the 2. Now, the 2, this is why I like this deck, because, you know, cuts off the feet. You really see the character. The character appears to be scrying into a crystal ball. Like, whether he is, whether he's not, doesn't really matter much. What matters is that he's looking towards the future, right? And so this is a card, absolutely a card of vision. We see what we want to see. We see what we can afford emotionally to see. And so that's going to come into play here. It is going to be like, what do you believe? What do you want to see? What do you want to believe? All that stuff. But the person, and this is critical, the person may not know that they're in denial. They may not know that they're ducking something. My hair is bugging me. Sorry, guys. That stupid splitting. Anyways, if you tell someone you're seeing what you want to see, their knee-jerk reaction is going to be, no, I'm not. I'm seeing the truth, blah, 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 blah. That's not the way to approach this. The way to approach this is to not say it, but to know in your own head, in your own heart, that whoever you're dealing with is not necessarily able to or willing to see what's right in front of them. And so you're going to have to do a little tap dancing to get them to listen, to get them to pay attention, to just get through. Because remember, I mean, the point of tarot is to help, right? Whether you're helping yourself or you're helping somebody else, the point is to help. And you're not helping anything if the person won't listen, or if you get argumentative with them or whatever. 99 times out of 100, I will not stand, sorry, this is going to drive me nuts through this whole thing. I will not stand toe-to-toe and argue with someone that I'm reading for. If they really get really argumentative, I'll just kind of remind them, like, you called me, you asked me a question, and I'm answering the question that you asked. You can't really, I mean, if you want to argue, I suppose you could, but that's kind of a waste of your money. So you've got this whole thing about vision, what you see, what you don't see, and what you can't see. And this is another thing that's critical to understand about human nature. And this is just human nature. It will always come into play with tarot card readings. Well, I shouldn't say always, but it'll often come into play with tarot card readings. But in life in general, when my mother was dying, we were waiting for test results on whether or not the cancer had spread to her liver, right? So, I came in and she goes, did you hear the good news? Like, it hasn't spread. And I'm like, that's great, okay, we bought some more time. And then the nurse came in a little while later. By then my sisters were there, and she was like, oh, did your mom tell you the bad news? And we're like, what bad news? And she goes, well, that the cancer has spread to her liver. And I was like, no, she just told me that she just talked to the doctor and the doctor said it didn't. And the nurse said, the human mind will kick out that which it can't tolerate. And this is critical, critical, critical to understand when you read for people. If the person asks you, is my husband cheating? And you say, yes, he is. And then they turn around and say, no, he's not. You can't argue with that. I mean, you can, but it's stupid and it's a waste of time, because they're obviously, what they're telling you without knowing that they're telling you this is they're telling you, I literally can't tolerate, I cannot believe that my husband is cheating on me. And so you can tell me all you want. It's going to go in one ear and out the other, because I just can't tolerate it. When something like that comes up with me, what I'll sometimes do is I'll play dumb and I'll say, did you get that? And they'll go, yeah, I heard you. And I'll go, but did you write it down? And they'll say, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be taking notes. And so this way you can tell them, take notes, because you're not listening, because it's going over your head. And at some point it's going to go into your head, but it's not right this minute. And I don't want to waste a lot of time trying to force it in. Then this way you act like, oh, I'm sorry, silly me. I forgot to tell you that you should take notes. I like when they take notes anyways, because then they can have it like for fact in front of them. This is what she said, and this is the date she said it, and this is when she said this was going to happen, and then it's pretty open and shut. You either hit or you don't hit. There's not a lot of question about it. But keep in mind always with the two of rods, it's about what a person sees. Now, the other thing that always seems to really come into play a lot with this card is, does such and such or so and so, does the relationship, does the job, does the house that you buy, whatever, have sorry about that, have a future? And so if you're reading for someone who's single and they just met someone and you get this two of rods, that could very, 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 very easily turn into a marriage, almost certainly will. Just like when it's reversed, you don't have much chance of it. And when it's reversed, it's like, it could be shock, it could be surprise, it could be an unwillingness or an inability to see something that's right in front of your face, right? And, I'll talk crap about myself because because it's nicer than talking crap about anybody else, right? But we fix signs. That would be Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. We are fixed. I mean, when we believe something, when something's in our head, it's hard to get it out of our head. It's hard to change our minds. And it's not because we're trying to be stubborn. It's not like we're saying, I don't believe you and I'm not going to believe you. It's that you've got so much wrapped up in believing this that someone coming along and challenging it is just, it's like someone throwing a cup of cold water in your face. You're like, what? And so keep in mind, again, why you need the astrology. If you're dealing with a fixed sign and you've got this Two of Rods and there's some really touchy stuff, health stuff, relationship stuff, job stuff, money stuff, anything like that, that would have a pretty severe impact on their lives, and you get this Two of Rods, understand that you cannot get through. So what you do is you just kind of, I call it leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. There was this woman a long time ago who it was one of my first readings. I don't know if I've discussed this or not. She called up and she said, I pulled cards, and I used to do it differently because this was one of my first readings ever that I got paid for, right? And I could see that this woman's husband was cheating and that it just looked like a disaster. So I didn't want to she calls me, someone's paying me. I was like, wow, they're actually paying me to do this? I'm not going to, So I said, so I see that you're married. And she said, yes. And I said, so how's that going? And I didn't ask that because I didn't know how it was going. I asked her because I wanted to see what she would say. And what she said was, oh, it's going fine. And I'm like, great. So now I've got this woman that's in denial. Okay, click, click, click. This happens fast in your head, when someone's right in front of you or they're on the phone, whatever. And you're like, okay, have you noticed that he's working late a lot recently? I mean, that's the first breadcrumb on the trail of breadcrumbs. I mean, that's, any adult kind of knows where you're going with that. And she says, well, he says he is. And I go, oh, so you don't believe that he is? And she goes, oh, I know he's not. And I go, how do you know he's not? She goes, because I followed him. I go, okay, now you're talking. What did you find? And she said, he was meeting up with this whore. He met up with this whore in this parking lot. And I was like, ooh. I go, yeah, what did you do? She goes, I confronted them. I got out of the car and I confronted them. And I go, oh my God, what happened? She goes, that crazy woman, she beat me up and cut my face up with a box cutter. Okay. So 2 minutes ago, you told me that your marriage is fine. And now I find out that your husband is standing by while his girlfriend is beating you up and cutting your face up with a box cutter. That's not fine, But again, I'm not going to say that. So I go, okay. And you've got a couple of kids, right? And she says, yeah, I've got 2. I go, okay. She says, so what do you think I should do about this crazy woman? And I stopped and I thought about it and I said, I think you should yourself. Bear with me. And she goes, I should do what? I go, stop for a minute. I go, if you would have called me a week before this crazy woman beat you up and cut your face up with a box cutter, and I would have told you that that's what she was going to do, what would you have said? And she said, well, I would have said, I hope that doesn't happen. I go, okay, and if I tell you right now that she's going to beat up your kids and cut their faces up with a box cutter, what do you have to say about that? And she says, well, I hope that doesn't happen. I go, do you get my point now? You didn't take very good care of yourself. What would make anyone believe that you would take better care of your children? And you could just feel it over the phone. It was like this tidal wave, like this boom, where it just all landed, like everything she had been denying and everything, it just landed. And she goes, oh my God. And I go, you do understand that I didn't really mean for you to do that. I was just trying to make a point, right? And she goes, yeah. I go, because you do understand that your kids are better off with you here, right? She's like, yeah. Okay. But that's what I mean by leave a trail of breadcrumbs. I led her to that. I didn't start with, oh, your husband's a cheating pig. Like, nobody wants to hear that. They're not, I'm talking to you as if you're going to become a reader, like a professional reader one day, which most of you probably won't. Maybe some of you will, whatever. But the thing is, you have to learn the process. Getting the information, I've always said this. Getting the information is the easy part. I can get the information all day and night. The hard part is knowing how to tell somebody that their husband's cheating. Knowing how to tell somebody that they've got cancer. I don't usually tell people stuff like that. I tell them go to the doctor. But, there are things that are really hard to hear. You're going to get fired. Your boyfriend doesn't love you anymore. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that are hard to hear, and you're supposed to make them feel better. Even if you can't give them good news, because I'm not going to lie to someone and tell them something is sunshine and happy thoughts if it's not. And so what I try and do is it's, okay, look, here's what I see. And if I know that it's just too much to take, I'll lead them right up to the edge and know that when they hang up that phone in the minutes, hours, days, weeks after the reading, that's going to percolate and the seed's going to grow. They'll figure it out, right? But I won't just give them bad news and then just send them on their way. I'll be like, okay, well, it looks like this woman is nuts. And what I ended up telling that lady in question was, I said, like, look, this woman is a threat to you. She's a physical threat to you. And he may or may not be, because he stood by and he allowed it to happen. He didn't try and intercede. So what I would do is I would get a restraining order against my husband and get him out of the house. And then you can start working on, divorce or not divorce or whatever it is that you're going to do at that point. But get him out of the house so that you have some time to think clearly and you're not going to be fighting with him and, just sort of figure things out. But that's my long-winded way of talking about the Two of Rods reversed. It's about what people can see, what they can't see, what has a future, what doesn't have a future. And I always pay attention to which, okay, let's say I've got these two cards next to each other. This guy is looking at this guy, and this guy's looking away from everything altogether, right? That these little clues are more important to me at least, than like, what is the symbolism of a red rose? Some symbolism is necessary. The cloaks, yes. A character's back to you, yes. A laurel wreath, yes. Certain things like that are, they're obvious, symbols. But to me, I'm more looking at where the character's looking, what are they interacting with, what cards are touching what cards. Are there like subspreads within the spread? If I have a 10-card spread, will the first, second, and fifth card be one separate spread unto itself and then the other card something else? All that stuff shows, and that's where your intuition will start. That's what I mean by the unconscious stuff. If you've been doing your book of tokens, that unconscious is opening up. It's been opening up, whether or not you've been able to stay awake through the Fool, the Magician, or any of them so far, it's still opening up. Some people it just takes longer. Those of us like me, fixed signs, or what was it? There's this dead guy that used to read for me, and he used to say, old souls are nothing but slow learners, and I am a very old soul. Like, certain things, I just takes me forever to get it, right? And so your unconscious is opening quickly or slowly, whatever. And now you're getting visual cues to like bring that home. It's very rare to have a 10-card spread that doesn't have any majors in it, right? And so you've got your majors, you've got the directions that people are looking at, You have cloaks, you have colors, you have just an overall, like this one, for example, right? That's just an overall happy looking card. You know, you don't have to know that rods are masculine. You don't have to know that that's rods. You don't have to know anything to look at that and go, well, that looks like a kind of happy card, right? And so you're looking for those kinds of cues. The kinds of cues, I've beaten that horse to death. Okay, let's go on to 3. Okay, now with the 3 of Swords, this is one of the cards that I call the Turning Away series. There are certain cards where the character is turned away from you. That's why I stopped using that. I think that was Universal Weight, whatever deck that was, because it was showing everybody from the back. But this is a traditional Morgan Greer, and this character has his back to you. Whenever the character has their back to you, take that literally, right? Like, I don't know about you, I get really insulted if I'm at a party or something and someone comes up and stands right in front of me and puts their back in my face. When I was younger, I'd poke them. Like, now I'm nicer, more polite, or I don't give a crap, or whatever it is. But I'd literally poke them and go, excuse me? Like, that's pretty rude to stick your back in my face, you know? But it's the same kind of thing. They're sticking their back in your face. And so it's not so much that it's one person turning away from another, although it can be. It's that with a certain degree of success, proven success, you can afford to turn your back, right? It's like, you know, you've been married for, I don't know, 8 years, and we'll do it the other way because I'm always talking about, you know, from a female perspective or straight female, whatever. You know, your husband and you are doing great. Everything's been fine. There's never been any issue. He's going out of town. It's fine. You can turn your back on him. You don't have to worry that he's going to be up to anything, right? Because there's a certain degree of success inherent. That's why they're turning away. It's not a turning away in a negative way or in a rejecting you kind of way. It's more in a trusting kind of way. This is very much a card of trust. And so, okay, it's about trust and your fear of loss. There's not much fear of loss in this, you know, because you've got that trust. Okay, but then it can also be a guardian or a mentor or someone who's looking after your best interests. It could even be, you know, you have 5 bosses at work and one of the, you know, you're in a little bit of trouble over something and one of your bosses is going to bat for you, that kind of thing. And then when you reverse it, this is an unwise time to trust. Don't trust this situation. Don't trust this person. It's not on solid ground. Now here, it really could be someone who's turning away from you or abandoning you or deserting you, or it could be the person's fear that they're being abandoned, their fear that they're being deserted. So that's your 3. And 4. You know, I used to teach the numbers for the spot cards, you know, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. It's too much mental gymnastics, to be totally honest, because like this 4, you know, this is like the 4 of, this is like the 4th house in astrology. It's home, it's hearth, it's all that stuff. But other 4s aren't so much. But this one is about home. It's about safety, sanctuary. It's a loving place. It's generally cozy and comfortable. It could be in the country, peace and harmony and safety and security at home. Boom. Reversed, not so much. Reversed, it's like it could be moving away from home. It could be going on vacation, like you're going to stay somewhere else for whatever reason. Any form of travel. It could be an inharmonious home life. It could be that a couple who lives together, whether they're married or not, will separate. And you really got to kind of read the cards around this one. But really safe and secure this way, not at all safe and secure that way. Okay. And now the 5. The 5 of Rods, see how it looks like these people are having like a stick fight or something? It's definitely a combative energy. It's definitely an energy of competition and of battle and just power struggles, sporting events. Anyways, okay. Otherwise, it's combat mostly in business or relationships. Occasionally, this can appear as a person who is combative by nature, and that'll carry over. You'll see if this is trying to tell you that the person is combative by nature, you'll see that. You'll see like little symptoms of that here and there and other stuff. So when you see that, look for, is this person combative, or is it just a combative or competitive kind of situation they're in, right? And then when you reverse it, it's like love-hate relationships, false competitions, or like, you know how like somebody will get some wild hair that they want to compete with you about something and you're not competing back, like that sort of one-sided competition. It could be unwinnable wars or obstacles that really can't be overcome at this time. When I get it in that context, I'll always ask, why can't these obstacles be overcome? Is it timing? Is it just a bad bet? Like, and I start digging around why this situation can't be won at this point. And lawsuits, deception, and quarrel with loved ones. Okay, that's a pretty card. Okay, now this is an interesting one. The 6 of Rods is like a mini chariot. It serves almost exactly the same function as the chariot. It's travel by land. It is, things on wheels. It's coming home. It's coming home victorious. See, he's got his little laurel wreath there, right? He's coming home victorious and all that other stuff. So it is, to all intents and purposes, the chariot, but it's in a minor form, and you got to ask yourself, why is this in a minor form and not a major form? And then the other thing you have to kind of ask yourself with this one is, does this have anything to do with timing? Because the chariot is more about timing than this is. This is more about winning, and the chariot is more about it's just a bigger, thicker, more all-encompassing card than this one. So, if you have both this and the chariot, that's a very good thing. But in any event, this would be victories, returns, people coming home, travel, that sort of thing. When it's reversed, it's the same, again, as the chariot, but to a lesser degree. It's going to be, problems with travel, problems with vehicles, not being able to get where you want to go, not being able to get home, something like that. Unwinnable wars, again, and shame, because there's all that pride in winning. This would be the shame in having lost. Okay. The minors go so much faster. Okay. And here is the 7 of Rods. See how he looks like he's up higher? See, and here, the fact that they cut off the feet, you really can't see it as well as in the regular rider deck. But it shows a character up on a cliff, and people are coming from underneath, but he's got the vantage point. That's what this card is about. It's about the vantage point. So yes, it's about the vantage point. You're in a good position. Opponents can create obstacles and inconveniences, but they really can't hurt you. They really can't beat you or stop you from achieving what it is that you're trying to achieve. This can signify verbal arguments or people talking and, or talking too much conversation to reach a conclusion, people beating a dead horse. You know how that goes. It could also indicate a chivalrous person coming into your life or coming to help you in a specific situation. But then when you reverse it, it's like indecision, stress, smoke screens that obscure a clear path to success, where like you just can't even see the clear path. There are too many obstacles to make whatever it is you're trying to accomplish worthwhile. And it could also indicate embarrassment, or overwhelming obstacles, or even just being overwhelmed, period. Because you've got, again, now this is a 7. You've got 7 things, 7 people coming at you. That's a lot. It's not the same as like when it's just 3, when it's just a little 3 or something, The 7's going to be a much bigger, much more difficult situation. And it starts getting more and more difficult like as the numbers get higher, right? And so now on the 8, and the 8 is the 8th, one of those weirdo cards like the wheel. Some people read that as falling, that those rods are falling. Other people read that as the rods are rising. It's up to you, or it's up to the circumstance, right? But this is absolutely a card of motion, and it is air, motion in air. So that would be airline travel, a jetpack, like whatever, travel by air. It could be things that fall. It could be things that rise. It could even, I see this come up very often for people falling in love. And speed. This is a very, very speedy card. This, if you want to know how something's going to happen, it's going to happen very quickly with this. And, what was I going to look at? Oh, and phone calls and messages. So, the deck was designed long before we even had telephones, right? So it could be voicemails, it could be emails, it could be text messages, it could be phone calls, whatever, okay? And then when you reverse it, it's like jealousy, arguments, someone whose conscience is bothering them, obstacles in motion or an ability to travel or move, phone calls that don't get through, Mercury retrograde, or things that just move like molasses in January, and it's just slow and it drives you nuts. So there's your 8. 9. The 9 of Wands, now you're almost up to the 10. I mean, the 10's as high as the spot cards go, right? So there have been, or there will be, a whole lot of different obstacles. It's not that you don't get this card when it's like one big obstacle. You get this card when it's a bunch of niggling problems, right? But when it's right side up, they're resolvable. You just have to be patient, and you just have to knock them out one at a time. It's a formidable opponent, but one that you can beat still. Okay, so it could be obstacles that delay a project or delay a win or whatever, but you're still going to win. And then when you reverse it, It is someone who will beat you in a given competition. Unbeatable odds, trauma, major problems, where there's just so much crap going on, you just can't get through all that crap. It's just too much crap. Like, I like to look at those, this is just my weird mind. I like to look at these rods as like turds. You know, there's all these turds in my way. I can't get through all these turds, right? That's just the way my weird mind works, but it works for me. And maybe if it's stupid enough, you'll remember it. You'll like, oh yeah, that crazy woman, she said that's like turds, like totally. Okay, and last but not least of the Wands spot cards is the 10 of Wands. This is a card of oppression. It's a huge burden, but one that you can carry, one that somehow you can manage to work this out successfully, but it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of adjusting and adapting, etc., etc., etc. This also could mean success that it's like you get the success, but somehow you don't actually get the reward. Like, okay, well, you know, I aced my SATs, but I still didn't get into such and such university, whatever, right? But it's just a burden. I mean, I just read this card as burden. And when it's reversed, it's an untenable burden. It's a burden you just literally can't carry. You can't win. There's too much working against you. It's too heavy. If you do try and take it on anyways, you're probably gonna like suffer some kind of major consequence, back problems, whatever. So just like forget it. There's no success in this one. And it's definitely, I mean, this way it's oppression, but winnable. This is oppression that's not winnable, okay? No positive outcome is coming with this one, okay? I am going to take the court cards separately. So we're gonna cut this here. If you liked what you heard, what you saw, please like, subscribe, share, comment. If you comment, I promise I will respond. And I hope you learned something, and I will see you next time.